I've kind of done crafty things as a kid and in high school, but never really seen anybody make pottery until my junior year. I had a girlfriend and she took ceramics. And she took me out to the ceramic building. And when I saw it, there just something clicked and I just said, that's for me. I just knew that it was something I wanted to do. I didn't know if I'd be any good at it. I just knew it was something I wanted to try. Mostly when I make are a lot of vases and decorative pieces. Raku is not really very useful. It's absorbent, so you can't really use it to drink out of or for food. So everything that I make is just sort of like decorative. Most throne pots are made from a cylinder, so what you're taught in class is to first perfect just making just a straight-sided cylinder, and then you shape from that. I use sort of a hybrid method. I know what I'm going to make, but as I'm pulling it up, I'm also shaping it so that, when I'm done with the throwing process, instead of having a cylinder that's turned into something else, it's usually pretty much finished. Most everything I make, I try to alter in some way rather than have it perfectly round. Two alterations with a wooden stick, and then it kind of has an oval. The same clay that the pottery is made of, but it's called slip tailing, and it's just squirted right on. Causes a surface decoration. I like triangles, and that's why the dots are in a triangle. I put triangles on most everything I'm doing. People always ask me, especially at shows and things, how long it takes to make one. I'm reluctant to say, oh, I make them in 10 minutes, or 5 minutes, however long it takes to make one, because excuse me, most of my time is spent doing other things. I spend, the very least amount of my time actually making things, and there's a lot that goes into it, the finishing and firing, and I spend probably 1 hour a day making things and 9 hours a day doing everything else. This is the glaze, and I just mix it up in the blender. Kind of like my other machine. It's the only way to get it to mix. Here, just stir it, and then it does it. What'll happen is the blender, a blender will eventually like suck it down in there,
Yeah,
and then it kind of throws it back up. Whenever it gets sucked down in, it kind of wets it, but then there's always some that like stays on the top and never gets dissolved. This is the secret formula, which as you can see, it's been around for quite a while. Forget it, Kelly. Nobody sees the secret formula. Basically, it's a copper solution, and the copper oxide is a metallic powder, which is really heavy, so it settles out. And in between each piece that I spray, I have to open the can up and stir it again because it just sinks to the bottom so fast. So I have to get it really well stirred before I pour it into the spray can.
How'd you come up with your paint spraying invention.
I just needed something that would turn. And I just thought the turntable would be the thing. I thought 45 RPM would be, about right, but that's way too slow, so I spray them at 78 RPM. See, that invention works pretty good. About once a year, all that stuff gets in the turntable, and then I go to a yard sale. Turntables aren't the most popular thing right now, so you can always find one at a yard sale somewhere, and then just throw that one away and put a new one in place. Just wipe the bottom off, because if you get any of this on the bottom, it'll stick your piece to the kiln. I'm going to carry this one in, and then I'll bring another one out, and it's basically do the same thing. Modern raku started probably 30 or 40 years ago. People started experimenting with the idea of taking things out of the kiln hot and put them in something that would catch on fire, leaves, straw, sawdust. When I first started with the copper raku, I was using straw. And that just, all the pieces that came out of the straw firing just had this kind of burnt up, been through a bonfire look. And it was just too primitive and burnt up looking for me. So I switched to newspapers, which they still have kind of a scorched look to them, but they don't look like they came out of Barney Rubble's backyard or something. I found out about 2 years ago that if you put kerosene in, that makes more smoke. The more smoke and flame that you get, the brighter the colors come out. So I use kerosene with the newspapers. I make a little bed of newspapers down in the can. Put kerosene on that too, just to create more flame. And I always run into all kinds of interesting articles when I'm doing this. Kind of slows me down. In the summertime I put these sleeves on just because I have to reach into a hot kiln, and in the winter I usually have long sleeve shirts, so that's not a problem. And I have gloves. Now these gloves are made out of Kevlar, man-made fire-resistant material. They make bulletproof vests out of Kevlar. They make a lot of things out of Kevlar now. Just I reach in, grab it, put it in the can, catches on fire. Stand that on edge. You might want to stand back on this. This is the best part. It helps to be kind of a pyromaniac and do this. Actually, I've always kind of liked fire. When I was in Boy Scouts, I was always the guy putting sticks on the fire and everything. And I found out most of my friends, who are potters, that's one thing they really like. When it's in the can, you don't ever see this, but the entire piece is like a real shiny piece of copper. And, at a certain point, which is around 900 degrees, and there's really no way to tell the temperature in there, but that's about what it is. Excuse me, I let some air get in, and then the air changes the metallic copper into all the colors. I'm always curious as to what's in there when I lift the can off. So it's just, and sometimes I'm disappointed, sometimes I'm not. Right now it's looking pretty coppery. This one's pretty too, but it's got when it gets drier, you'll be able to see the color a little bit better. Right out of the cooker.
Okay, you came out of college with a degree.
Right.
In this, and I just was curious how you went from having a degree to actually making a career out of it.
Well, after I got my degree, that was all I wanted to do. I got an income tax refund one year. I think I got $800, and I got a used kiln, bought some clay, and I was in business. And I starved for 3 or 4 years after that. But you don't need a lot of stuff. You just need a strong desire to do whatever you want to do. So it's time to raku again.
Okay.
I think that one's up. And that's it for raku.